Good evening. So you ask, what is going on between the Secretary General of the ANC, Magashule, and the President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, who also happens to be the President of South Africa? Now, I would like to frame this question a bit differently because I don't believe that there is a fight between two individuals, Ace Magashule and Cyril Ramaphosa. But what has happened is that these individuals have become proxies, or maybe let's call them personalities in the forefront of differing ideologies. What we have in South Africa is a fight between ideologies, and that is what is taking place and manifesting itself within the ANC. And the problem starts when we have the invention of capitalism in South Africa that primitively accumulated the resources of this nation, the factors of production of this nation, into the hands of predominantly white people and Western corporations. The denial of black people of these factors of production forced them to become cheap labor or slaves for white corporations that controlled all the factors in production. And if black people wanted to eat, they had to work for this white capital. The white capital made a lot of money. Capitalists became rich, they became wealthy. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange became the highest paying or returns paying stock exchange in the world because of the amount of wealth that was being created in South Africa. And when apartheid came to an end, something that the United Nations called a crime against humanity, the very first thing that the apartheid system and the capitalists tried to do was to sanitize themselves. And they chose to sanitize themselves by co-opting members of the social democratic movement, which is the ANC, to try and co-opt them into capitalism so that they could become protectors of the system of capitalism. And this is how you saw capital reaching out to certain members that are within the ANC, making them board members in former apartheid companies, companies that have been created by a crime against humanity, criminal enterprises that have been created by stealing resources and exploiting Africans in South Africa. People got became board members of these companies. They were given shares. They were even given capital to create their own companies that will be linked and connected to the capitalist system. Those men and women who were given these boards positions, these men and women that were given this capital that was going to link them with the capitalist system or the white capitalist monopoly, then became protectors, or the black faces protecting the capitalist system. It is not only them that became the protectors of the white capitalist system. Even educated black people that became employees of this capitalist system also are now part and parcel of those that are defending, because they get benefits, they get loans, they get nice houses, they get holidays overseas, they get nice clothes, they get to buy shares within these white companies, and they get to live a good life at the expense of poor South Africans who are being deprived of these resources and deprived of that which was taken through primitive accumulation. On the other end, you now have those ANC members that were never co-opted by capital, because not everybody was going to be co-opted by capital. Capital never shares with everybody. It only takes a few elite. And some of these people that were left behind were people that wanted to see what was called redistribution in line with the Freedom Charter. Some of them want to see radical economic transformation and land reform to ensure that everybody in South Africa is sharing in the bounty and wealth of this country. Now, when you put this in context and find out that the gold of South Africa is finished and was depleted by companies like Anglo-America that continued to exploit this gold, and now they've taken their wealth and gone, you can understand why those people in radical economic transformation need the change. And it's a resolution that was given to the ANC by its branches and its members that want to see a redistribution of this wealth before it's finished. This is the fight that we are seeing playing itself out today. And it's got heroes like Cyril Ramaphosa, Ace Magashule, Jacob Zuma, and other such characters. But on the other hand, you see people on the capitalist side like Cyril Ramaphosa have their skin in the game with shares and capital from white corporations. On the other side, radical economic transformation, we've also seen people make a lot of wealth from tenders from government and other means in which they use their power in the ANC to be able to make money. And the way they've made their money is being criminalized by the capitalists who are saying that this is corruption. But the Radical Economic Transformation Group don't understand this language, because they're saying in a country like South Africa, where 93% of the wealth of this country belongs to corporations and white people that looted this country through a crime against humanity called apartheid, and people who continue to hold on to this wealth or unjust enrichment because of a constitution that did not bring restitution to black people, they don't feel it is fair for black people that are trying to emancipate themselves in a system that has criminalized black emancipation to be called corrupt, while those that have accumulated all the wealth that black people failing to get are called business people or capitalists. That's the fight that's taking place. And it's being fought through institutions. Institutions like the judiciary, crime-fighting organs, banks that will close down any person's business who is trying to compete with white monopoly. It is being fought through food, through the control of land, through the control of fertilizer and seeds. It is being fought in every aspect that is already controlled by the capitalists through a crime against humanity. And that's what the fight is about. ANC is being given a mandate to transform and change the system to ensure that black people are empowered and that the system of monopoly and maintenance of apartheid is brought down, while the capitalists seek to maintain their hold on this economy, which they control by unjust enrichment. And today we're hearing the arguments of the courts that continue to be partial to maintenance of the system, because the judges within the system are former apartheid judges. They are former criminals who maintained the system of apartheid. They are judges who continue to have shares within these corporations that were unjustly enriched. They continue to be a part and parcel of the capitalist system. So now people are questioning whether they could be partial. There are talks about some of them being bribed, which haven't been proved, but all this feeds into a narrative and feeling that the judges of South Africa are partial to the capitalist system and opposed to radical economic transformation. Hence, they continue to make judgments that are compromised. We've got a case right now of a Zimbabwean lawyer that is very known to be resistant to the capitalist system, who is currently being dragged through the bar that is trying to disbar him for criticizing a white judge. And what he is saying is that judges like Mogoeng, judges like the Judge Hlophe in Cape Town have been lambasted by white lawyers and even junior lawyers to himself as an advocate, but they've never been taken over the coals, they've never been taken to the bar, and do not suffer the threat of being disbarred for criticizing black judges. But white judges enjoy white privilege because of the position that they're white. This is what the fight is about. A fight against the maintenance of apartheid for those that want to empower South Africa and to give black people the rights that black people deserve in equality to white people. Now, we must understand the repercussions of what is happening in South Africa. These very same apartheid corporations are the very same apartheid corporations that used to destabilize SADC and Africa to try and maintain apartheid. They're the same ones that worked with the CIA and other Western forces to try and maintain apartheid in South Africa. They are the ones that acquired nuclear weapons on behalf of the apartheid government to deter SADC countries from fighting apartheid in South Africa. They are also the ones that have created private armies and mercenaries that continue to destabilize South Africa so that they continue to benefit from the resources of Africa. Congo is destabilized by some of these corporations that continue to sponsor militia and rebels on the African continent. So it affects all of us. And the outcome of this battle, where whites want to continue to monopolize and to maintain their unjust enrichment, will have an impact on all of us on the African continent. And so that is why we have to pay serious attention to it.